They were told the mountain was moving. They built the dam anyway. And 1,117 people died in 4 minutes. On October 9, 1963, a massive landslide crashed into the reservoir behind the Vajont Dam in northern Italy. The wave that erupted over the dam was 250 meters high. It erased the town of Longarone from the map, and the dam itself never broke. It's still standing today. This is the story of the Vajont Dam Disaster, one of the worst engineering failures in history, and one of the greatest cover-ups in European history. The Vajont Dam sits in a narrow gorge in the Piave Valley in the Dolomite Mountains of northeastern Italy. Construction began in 1957. By the time it was completed in 1960, it was the tallest thin-arch dam in the world, standing 262 meters high. It was a symbol of Italy's post-war economic miracle, a monument to progress. Behind the dam, the reservoir was designed to hold 150 million cubic meters of water. The electricity it would generate was meant to power Italy's industrial north. The state-owned energy company Sadi drove the project. They had political connections, government backing, and money to silence anyone who got in the way. But there was a problem. The geology of Monte Toc, the mountain on the south side of the reservoir, was unstable. Engineers knew this before the dam was even finished. As early as 1959, geologists had identified a massive layer of clay beneath the surface of Monte Toc. This clay acted like a lubricant. When the reservoir began filling with water, the weight and pressure started saturating the lower layers of the mountain. The clay got wet. The rock above it began to slide. In 1960, a smaller landslide dumped 700,000 cubic meters of rock and earth into the reservoir. It sent a 2-meter wave across the lake. It was a warning, a clear, undeniable warning. Sadi's own engineers documented it. Internal reports acknowledged the instability. Geologist Leopold Müller warned that a catastrophic landslide was possible. Eduardo Semenza, the son of the dam's designer, mapped the ancient landslide plain on Monte Toc and told Sadi the entire mountainside could collapse into the reservoir. Sadi buried the reports. They pressured scientists to stay quiet. They continued filling the reservoir. The Italian government's mining office ordered Sadi to lower the water level after the 1960 slide. Sadi complied temporarily, then raised it again. They ran filling and draining experiments, testing how much water the reservoir could hold without triggering another slide. They treated a geological time bomb like a laboratory experiment. Meanwhile, the people of Longarone, Erto, and Casso, the small towns in the valley below the dam and around the reservoir, lived their lives. Some of them noticed cracks appearing in the mountainside. Some of them heard rumbling at night. A few complained to local authorities. Nothing happened. By the summer of 1963, the mountain was moving at alarming rates. Instruments installed on Monte Toc recorded acceleration. Trees on the mountainside were tilting. Roads were cracking. Animals refused to graze on the slopes. In September 1963, the rate of movement increased dramatically. The mountain was sliding at centimeters per day. Sadi's engineers debated what to do. They decided to slowly lower the reservoir level, hoping to reduce the pressure without triggering the slide. It was too late. On the evening of October 9, 1963, at approximately 10:39 p.m., 260 million cubic meters of rock, roughly the size of a small mountain, detached from Monte Toc and slid into the reservoir at over 100 kilometers per hour. The entire slide lasted less than 45 seconds. The rock displaced nearly the entire contents of the reservoir. A wall of water, mud, and debris erupted over the top of the dam. The wave was estimated at 250 meters high as it cleared the dam crest. That is taller than most skyscrapers. The wave split in 2 directions. One surge raced up the valley toward the villages of Erto and Casso, destroying homes and killing dozens. The other, far larger wave roared down the Piave Valley toward Longarone. Longarone was a town of about 1,550 people. It sat on a flat plain at the base of the gorge, directly in the path of the flood. The wall of water hit Longarone at roughly 10:43 p.m., approximately 4 minutes after the landslide. The town was obliterated. Buildings were swept off their foundations. Cars, trees, and bodies were carried kilometers downstream. The water tore through Longarone with a force estimated at twice the flow of the Amazon River. When the water receded, Longarone was gone. Not damaged, gone. Where a town had stood, there was mud and rock. Rescue workers who arrived the next morning described a landscape that looked like the surface of the moon. The final death toll was 1,917 people. Among them were 487 children. Entire families vanished without a trace. Some bodies were never recovered. And the dam, the Vajont Dam, survived. It stands today, almost entirely intact. The concrete held. The engineering of the dam itself was not the failure. The failure was everything else. The geology that was ignored, the warnings that were buried, the lives that were weighed against profits and lost. In the aftermath, the Italian government and Sadi scrambled to control the narrative. Initial reports called it a natural disaster, an act of God, an unforeseeable tragedy. But the evidence told a different story. Journalists and investigators quickly uncovered the internal reports, the warnings from geologists, the deliberate suppression of data. Tina Merlin, a journalist for the communist newspaper L'Unità, had actually written about the dangers of the dam years before the disaster. In 1959, she published an article warning that Monte Toc was unstable and that the dam posed a threat to the valley below. Sade sued her for defamation. She was acquitted, but the story was buried. After the disaster, the Italian courts eventually brought charges against several Sadi engineers and managers. The trial dragged on for years. In the end, only one engineer received a meaningful prison sentence. Sade was absorbed into the nationalized energy company Enel. The executives largely escaped consequences. The people of Longarone rebuilt their town on the same site. A new Longarone rose from the mud. But the community was shattered. Survivors carried the trauma for the rest of their lives. The anniversary of October 9th is still observed every year. The Vajont Dam stands as a monument to what happens when profit overrides science. The engineers knew the mountain was unstable. The geologists said so. The instruments confirmed it. The smaller landslide in 1960 proved it. And still, Sadi filled the reservoir. 1,917 people did not die because of a natural disaster. They died because a corporation and a government decided that a dam was more important than the truth. The mountain gave every warning it could. Nobody with the power to act chose to listen. The dam still stands in the gorge today. The reservoir behind it is dry. The scar on Monte Toc, where the mountain broke away, is still visible from satellite images. It is not healed. Neither has the valley below it. Follow Village 5 for more stories like this.